I've been having this really powerful revelation around what's called courts of heaven. And the premise is this: you and I are the defendant. We're the ones sitting there having to defend ourselves before God the judge. God's a father, he's a friend, he's also a judge. And we're having to sit there and defend ourselves before the judge. Why? Because there is somebody who brought us to court. And that somebody is Satan. Satan is the accuser. That's what Satan or Satan means, to accuse. And how many times have you been accused in your mind? And you think, well, I'm just really hard on myself. I'm my own worst critic, all these other things. No, actually, Satan, the kingdom of darkness, has influence over the land we live in. And that kingdom of darkness has influence in our mind over our soul. That's why God says, let the peace that surpasses understanding guard your heart, guard your soul, okay, your mind, your will, and your heart. That's your soul. Let the peace of God guard your soul, because the kingdom of darkness, why? Is on attack against us. And in the courts of heaven, Satan is the accuser, and he is bringing accusation that is justified because there is sin that has happened in your life. You were born into brokenness. You've done things that are not right. And so all of us can account for all those things that we've done that aren't right. And then add to it the fact that you were born into a bloodline. You were born into a family. You inherited things that you didn't even know you inherited. Maybe it's generational sin as one thing, right? And so ways of thinking, ways of speaking, behaving, and you didn't even know or have description for how this all came about, why you are the way you are, all these things. And then there's Jesus. Now, where's Jesus in the courts of heaven? He's sitting on the witness stand, and he's covered in blood. This is the image I had. He's covered in blood. And he's covered in blood. Why? Because he absorbed not just the punishment from man, but the wrath of God. Think about that. The wrath of God. Jesus absorbed the wrath of God. The anger that God had for sin in our lives. Jesus took on that anger. He not only took the punishment from man, even though he was not guilty of anything, he was sinless, spotless as the spotless lamb. Jesus actually took on the wrath of God for our sin, past, present, and future. That means in the beginning, through the end, Jesus took on the sin. He took on the judgment for our sin. That's crazy. So Jesus is in the witness stand, and you've got the accuser, or Satan, who is the prosecution, and Satan is at the table next to you, looking at you and telling you all the things you've done wrong in your life and all the reasons you're guilty, accusing you in front of the judge, in front of God the judge. And then there's Jesus on the witness stand. And if you're distracted by Satan, you might miss Jesus on the witness stand, bloody, holding what is your key to freedom, which is Jesus sitting on the witness stand, waiting for you, the defendant, to ask the question, Jesus, did you take on that sin? The accusation that is real, did you take that on? Did you accept the punishment on my behalf? Jesus, the witness, what do you have to say about that? And if you miss the fact that Jesus is on the witness stand, if you are distracted by accusation from Satan, you will miss the whole point of why you can stand before the judge in the courts of heaven, God the judge, and be blameless. Because Jesus' blood took your sin, and in exchange, it gave you freedom. So now you look at the prosecution and you say, Satan, all of the things you say that I have done and that I have said, and the things that deserve judgment and punishment, those things are right. And here's Jesus on the witness stand. Let's ask him, Jesus, did your blood pay for the punishment of my sin? And if Jesus is on the witness stand, and if you believe him, when he says yes, I did that for you. You are free. You are free in Jesus' name. Thank God. And because of that, you can look at God the judge and you can say, God, Judge, your honor most high. It's because of your Son that you sent, your only Son. Because you love me so much, you sent your only Son to take on the punishment that I deserved for sin. And because of him, I'm free. Thank you. Thank you for judging righteously. Thank you for giving me something I didn't deserve. Jesus, thank you. Thank you for being who you say you are. Thank you for setting me free. I am free because of you. That's the truth. And that stands true in the courts of heaven before God the judge. If you're willing to look at Jesus and say, Jesus, I believe what you say to be true in these courts, under oath, in front of this judge, who also happens to be your Father. I believe you. In Jesus' name.